Right. Oh, okay, it's doing it now, but I had to open it, and then it's opened another tab instead.
Yeah, it says it's now meeting is now live streaming. So, oh, hang on, let me turn my phone on.
Yeah. The only thing is, I have my agenda on my phone, and so I haven't got the agenda. I can't get it. I can't seem to get the agenda up.
Are you
Right, we are live now.
You are live. Okay. Right. Okie dokie. Right. Thank you all for our meeting. Usual. I won't go over everything. Usual thing about if you want to speak, put your hand up. And obviously it's going out on YouTube, so be nice if it were. Right. Welcome. Right. Item number 1 is the welcome. Number 2 is apologies for absence.
No apologies.
Declarations of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation.
There's none received.
None received. Okay, minutes of the last meeting held way back on the 21st of January.
Do you want me to share the screen? Can you all see?
If it's easier, I don't know. Yeah, it might be easier for Pat if he can't see it. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay. I guess you've all read them. Can I have a proposer?
I propose.
So I saw Bruce put his hand up and then David second. Sorry, sorry, Pat.
Okay.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, so Bruce and David. Bruce, could you just unmute yourself? Could you just confirm audibly that you're okay on that to propose? Although I can't hear you. But if you...
Can you?
Yeah. Well, you came in a bit then. Go on, talk again.
I'm proposing.
Okay, lovely. Thank you for that. And David, can you just confirm audibly?
Yes, happy to second.
Lovely, thank you. Can I have a show of hands, please? All those in favour? That's fine. Unanimous for right here. Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, actions arising from that minutes. Sorry. I don't know how much of this has been done at all.
Well, a lot of it, of course, can't be done anymore because we're all around. So
that's right.
Booking terms and conditions. Obviously, we are reviewing them now, but we're reviewing them for a totally different reason. So Gary's working on what the regulations are in terms of being able to hire the Leyston Centre, etc. So it's about working out costs in terms of whether, from a cleaning point of view, we expect the hirers to foot the additional cleaning that's going to be necessary, and also that their responsibility for the safety of their membership. Although at the moment I'm not aware, Martin may know different, but I'm not aware that we've had any inquiries from people actually wanting to reopen. Martin, whether you know?
I think Nick did have an inquiry from the befriending group last week for the Leyston. I bet that's about the only one I've heard of, I think.
The difficulties is that it's not just the rules for meeting places, for community places. It's also the rules for the groups that want to meet there. Groups like the karate, judo clubs, etc. They can hire the hall, but they can't do any judo if they're going to touch each other. Any older people who are still shielding won't want to come back at the moment. So, yeah, it's at the moment Gary's working on what the new terms and conditions would have to be, and hopefully we'll have at full council some decisions over whether or not we're going to charge people, because effectively, if we don't charge people for cleaning between uses, we're going to pay out more than we get in for every single hire. And this is only the Leiston Centre, of course. The Arts Centre isn't currently fit to open anyway. So that's that.
The Barclays thing, was that ever done or not?
No, and I have to say that having tried to open a Barclays account myself during the lockdown, they've been absolutely useless. I think the last time I got close to crying was when I fell off my bike age 11, and I really thought I was going to burst into tears if they didn't sort their act out. So I if anything like I've had to do for a personal bank account, when I already had one account, then there's no chance whatsoever during a lockdown of Barclays being remotely cooperative.
Okay. Cleaning contract?
Yeah, so obviously we weren't able to run a tendering exercise after April. It is still on the list of things to do. Obviously the specification has totally and utterly changed and continues to change. I've had a few conversations with Tracy from Gleam Cleaning, and she's quite desperate to get her staff back working, but obviously I've explained to it rather depends on whether we have any cleaning to do, because if nobody hires a place, we don't need any cleaning. Yeah, so the specification, Gary's working on that as well. He's doing all of the specifications for the tendering, but this one we just simply don't know what the specification is going to be.
No, obviously you just mentioned Tracy, but as it is a tendering exercise, obviously we're going out to other companies.
We would, but what we'd need to do is agree a specification with one supplier, and then use that specification for other people to bid against.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, personally, and obviously from the procurement side of things, I certainly want to see that specification, because you know my views about some of this.
Well, you will anyway, because we the council set up a small working group to look at specifications, etc. Gary's asked if that could meet before the end of the month, because he wants to look at the lighting schedules.
Right.
That's the one where he's got the most bite from, because of all these things. You send emails off to some companies and you just don't hear back from them, but there'll be a meeting of that group before the end of the month.
Yeah, I know electricians, from my own experience, are like gold dust at the moment, because they've all been doing a hell of a lot of work for all these companies that have been shut down.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's page 7. So I'm trying to scroll on that screen. What am I doing? It's your screen.
Right.
It's been a long day. Okay. Where are we? Well, again, item C there. I guess nothing's happened on that yet.
No, but Martin and I had a long discussion earlier today about whether Martin wanted to try and do something, but I said to him, to be honest, the difficulty is that this piece of exercise relied on us getting hold of rotors, etc., and I'm not sure whether we can get hold of them. It's just been knocked off the page as far as other work's concerned. But when we have set out what we need to find out, but it's not possible. I mean, at the moment, in terms of Panto, we'll get a decision probably before the summer's out from our usual panto provider as to whether or not they're even going to bother trying to do a panto. So Nick is talking to him about an Easter panto instead, if it's not going to be possible to open one. Generally speaking, pantos need a full auditorium. And if we can't have a full auditorium, if we're not allowed to have a full auditorium, then pantos are the first to go. And that's why a lot of theatres, independent theatres, are extremely worried, because panto pays for the rest of the year for those theatres. There's a real danger that the professional panto producers won't be around, because they simply won't be able to afford to keep people going.
Yeah, can I just say on that? Can I just say on that, Chair? Sorry, Andrew Lloyd Webber was on the news tonight, pleading with the government, and he showed pictures of how he can organise the Palladium with social distancing, and he was pleading with the government to try and open them up with social distancing and masks by November because of the panto. He was saying that you can get on an aeroplane with a mask, but why can't you open theatres with a mask? So whether the government will listen to that, I don't really know. Thank you, Chair.
I think the difficulty that theatres have is that there's the singing from the stage and the shouting out from the stage from pantos, and also there's a huge amount of laughter and shouting and commotion in an audience during panto, and even with masks on, full panto thing, the distances are so short that the mask won't actually sufficiently stop the molecules going out through the mask. I mean, the idea of the mask is it basically takes the punch out of it, so that they, instead of going 2 meters, the molecules only go say half a meter. But if you're only half a meter away from the person sitting below and in front of you, then you're going to be, when you laugh, you're going to be potentially spraying viral load over the person in front, even with a mask on.
Well, what he showed, the picture he showed, the people, see, this is the Palladium, it's big, but the people were not directly in front. They were spaced out, where there was no person in front. They was away from the stage, and they were sort of spread out in certain. Obviously, if you have 2 people going, which most of them do, you'd have 2 people, and then there's a big space, and there's another one, and it's sort of diagonally done, so you're not directly behind the person.
Nick's done some studies on our auditorium, and he thinks we can probably get about 56 people in the auditorium at the current 1 meter distancing. Obviously it depends if there's family groups, etc., and that's the difficulty, because you're almost going to have to design the layout and adjust the capacity depending on whether people are in the same bubble or not. Because if you had 8 or 9 people in the same bubble all come together, they could all sit right next to each other, and you still only need the 1 meter space around them. So you could suddenly get a lot more. It makes it a complete nightmare in terms of setting up how many tickets you can sell. If at the beginning you don't know how many people you can fit in, because you don't know whether it's couples, families, individuals. Clearly they won't be able to choose their own seat. They'll probably have to not be able to book, but once we take bookings and then actually work out the most effective way to sit people down, and then see if there's space on the evening, whether we can slot a few more in.
No, it just makes it not viable, doesn't it? And that's what Andrew Lloyd Webber said on that
Yeah.
piece that Pat saw, was unless he can fill it, it's not viable. So there's
Yeah.
no point. There's no point doing it unless you can fill it. Then what's the point? And if you can't have that atmosphere as well in the interaction, then it doesn't make for a good experience. So I think we've got to wait and see until we get a decent steer on what we can and can't do.
Okay, I mean it's there's many theatres already cancelled their pantos already.
Because of the lead time, particularly if those theatres are having to develop the panto themselves. Obviously, what we buy in, I think, is it the Isle of Wight or something like that has it before us?
Sometimes, yeah, Medina Theatre in the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, so it's kind of people moving around with the panto. So, but what I've said to Nick is to look at what else we can do, rather than leave it dark the whole time. But yeah, that's panto. But we do have a list of what we need to do. Perhaps Martin, you can find out from Nick whether or not those old staff rotors are available. Who's got them?
Yep, sure.
It's going to be a mix between Nick, Dylan, and Sarah, and Helen, perhaps, because of the Heart Seats one as well.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Get onto that tomorrow.
Okay, item D. I do know that Sarah spoke to me about it, and I put her in contact with, in this case, Route 66. But I don't think anything. Last time I spoke to Sam at 66, he had not heard anything before the lockdown.
No.
So we'll have to wait till after that.
Yeah.
Well, popcorn making machine as well. Nothing's happened there, is it?
Well, to be honest, I looked for the popcorn making machines. Now, I don't know anything about popcorn making machines, so I may just be being particularly stupid. But the popcorn making machines I found all kind of just heated the stuff back up again.
Yeah.
Trying to find things that actually pop the corn is what Laura was talking about. But I was struggling to find any of those, and that was evidently where you make the profits.
Yeah, I guess this sort of thing is we just have to wait and see what, if and when we're ever going to reopen again.
Yeah.
And
I had the conversation with Sandra Lenane to look at the pricing structure, but of course we haven't done anything on that because we're closed. So we will obviously have to relook at exactly what we do with the zone anyway.
there's a bit further down, is there?
Okay, so that's all been done because that's all to do with the
Yeah.
annual budget.
Else is all on that. Okie dokie, lovely. Thank you. Right, public forum. I'm assuming there's nobody watching, Colin, or
No, there isn't anybody. They may be watching, but they're not. They haven't chosen to partake.
no? Okay, that's fine. So we'll move on to item 7. Town Council budget report to the 30th of June.
Do you want that up on screen?
Yeah, let's. We may as well go. Yeah, if it's easier for people, unless everyone's. Oh, well, I printed it off, but that's fine.
Okay. Is that too small to read?
Oh, no, well, it's fine for me. I don't know anybody else. Everyone else okay, happy with that?
No, it's all good.
Have we lost you, Pat, again?
No, he's here.
I can't see
He's
it.
frozen.
Okay. Right. Do you want to go through it, Colin?
Yeah. Okay, so basically, thank you to Martin for getting the end of June report out. Obviously, the reduction in other things did mean it was possible to get this report done. When we were going through the print-offs from the Amiga program we use, it was quite sobering to see the number of lines that have none, nil against each and every single thing, no expenditure whatsoever. There is some expenditure overall, of course, because we've got fixed overheads, So if you look down that right-hand column of variance, all the minuses are good signs. If in purely financial terms, obviously they're rather, what they're showing is that we weren't providing a service to the public. But we're £88,508 better than we thought we would be financially. The figures just running through the administration, it's worth saying that it's the biggest budget, but hasn't really shown much by way of saving. And this is simply reflecting the fact that this department hasn't actually really changed. Everyone's been working the whole time. No one's furloughed, so there's no 80% coming back from any of those people. And it's got things like there's 86,000 contribution to the Arts Centre goes through administration and out the other side. So that perhaps slightly misrepresents things a little bit, and you take that out, then it's a significantly smaller expenditure. And the zone, of course, because that's commercial, with no income, but the fixed overheads of staffing, rent, there was less power and light, but the main costs are the staffing costs, etc., and rent, and we're still paying those. So that has recorded a loss rather than a gain in the current circumstances.
If anyone's got any questions on each page, just shout out, put your hand up. Stop on each page.
Right. So bank reconciliation, again, it's interesting to see how slowly the 190,000 in the business account is just staying. It's because we're really, apart from the HMRC pensions and salaries, there's very little money going out. There's the shopping we're doing for vulnerable people, but they then pay us back. So it's interesting to see the credit card appears to be the most popular way that people are paying, because there's lots of card net income coming in, which I assume is the shopping.
Pretty much all the card net income is shopping, yes.
Yeah. But we would not have expected that money to last as long as it has done. It's we've still that'll keep us going. We probably need to draw down some money perhaps in October, but I think that'll keep us going probably through to the end of September.
Incidentally, Colin, when I was producing these figures, I noted that the interest rates had dipped even further.
Yeah,
noticed there's 0.01 and 0.1 now.
Yeah.
And just to confirm that, so those top four lines, I was in the Arts Centre this afternoon, and I checked the balances on the statements against this, and they all tallied.
Okay.
Okay. Next.
Debtors and creditors. Martin, do you want to talk us through this one?
Yeah, sure. Just bear with me 2 seconds while I turn up some notes. Yeah, so the debtors at the end of June was 24,500, but 23,500 of that was intercompany bits and pieces, Heartseat salary recharges, and now we also have some community trust salary recharges as well. And we always pay ourselves last, so they will be settled, but they are the main debts. We've got £942 paid on account. In fact, one of those, somebody's actually overpaid us, so there's about £600 to go back to one of our debtors who've overpaid for some reason. Not quite sure why. We do have £1,749 of plus 90-day debts, but I think there's 9 debts. So, and I have started to sort of focus the mind a little bit doing these reports, that we had 1 or 2 that had slipped through. They're mostly regulars, and whether it's because they haven't been out or whatever, I don't know. But already some of them have made contact and have promised to make payments. I have yet to see that the evidence of that yet, but there's nothing there that really worries me. There's one surprising one, which is the blood donors group, and I think there's a disputed invoice there. That's we'll see on the over 90 days debts at the end of the report. There's £360 from the blood donors group, which I'm a little bit unsure about. The rest I think are eminently collectible, and as there are no invoices being raised at the moment, I've got no excuse not to focus on these now, because they are the only 9 debts on the town council over 90 day list. So they should be reducing fairly quickly now, hopefully. As I think I've put in the report somewhere, I'll make a concerted effort to do that now. And so when we do get back to hiring rooms out again, we start with a clean slate.
Yeah. I lost Pat again.
Yeah, I'll just check whether he's in the. No, he's not in the thing.
Okay. Any queries on the? I mean, the debtors. You know, as I think Colin mentioned somewhere, if I can find it. I guess we're not going to be overzealous in chasing these people at the moment.
No, we obviously we don't want to bring in debts on people. In the same way we're paying ours on time. Obviously,
What I've done,
we're not going to hassle them too much, because obviously they're in a difficult position.
Yeah.
What I've done when I've written to people is ask them to. I've stated that this debt is well overdue. Please could you pay by return or contact me to discuss the matter further. So there's nobody's told me off for chasing them too hard at the moment. So
Okay, should we go on?
Yeah, please.
Oh, hang on. There's Pat coming back in. So yeah, so the Heart Seats Cafe has been closed the whole time. So the only expenditure is some of the fixed overheads, and you know, the staffing, etc. You can see it's the difference, the variance is really down to the fact that we're getting furlough money in for the staff. That's obviously going to slightly change come August, when we have to pay the national insurance and pension ourselves, although that amounts to a couple of £100. It's not really a particularly serious amount of money for us. It's the as long as the government pays the furlough, that would be great. So yeah, there's not a lot to say on that one, to be honest.
No hands up. So yeah, next page, Colin.
Yeah. So there's a zone cafe, exactly the same thing. So zero income, and then it's just a staffing recharge and some of the overheads.
I noticed the new cafe equipment, the 850. That wasn't by any chance the cooker hood or whatever it was.
Yeah, I should think it is.
so it's the canopy.
Yeah, cooker hood. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not been installed, obviously, yet.
It's arrived.
Okay.
I think it's just when Star will install it is the
Okay.
is the question.
Are we using Star to install it? Would you say?
Yeah, because they costed it out in the first place.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it makes it a bit bigger.
Yeah.
So then the community trust, obviously we're rather down on the bookings.
Why?
Yeah. Oops. How do I get to move that? Again, then it's just fixed overheads.
It's a bit sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all sitting there. The Haverhill Bloom has in fact paid out, and I think David is basically Brassic. It's paid for its planting now, so it's basically cleared it out. But we knew that's why the budget is set where the budget is. But this one, it's naught because the bill was paid in July.
I think David's going to come up, but I suspect you're looking destitute, David. So, did you want to say something?
No, it's where we thought it would be, isn't it? And it's still a lot cheaper than what we were paying Parkscape. So
yeah.
So
it's all looking nice out there as well.
Yeah, it is. It's happy days, and they haven't. The planters don't seem to have been molested much this year so far. A few of the barrier troughs were sort of picked out along Herring House and the Plightle, but they settled down. But yeah, I know Sue's got some work she wants to do with some weeding on some bits and pieces, and the ones on the Market Square seem to be neglected by West Suffolk. They planted them, but don't look like they're doing much in the way of maintenance, which is odd because they always have done. But
the ones round the curve at the top.
Yeah.
Okay,
so look at that. I'll still chase them.
I did see them watering them when we were doing the road closures quite often. So
yeah, and then we haven't been spookily enough. They've forgotten to water us, charge us for watering anymore. That seems to have that plea with West Suffolk seems to have worked.
Okay.
So they just don't seem to be billing us anymore.
Cool.
Right, thank you.
So then it's going to be much the same for the zone in terms of work going on there. Obviously, Sandra's is not able to do much by way of youth work at the moment. There may be some detached youth works getting done. I've asked her to sort out a risk assessment as far as doing detached youth work is concerned. Then the volunteer centre's got various bits of income coming in.
But just on the zone quickly, I know Sandra asked Sue if Haverhill and Bloom have got any plants and stuff, so they've been up there and there's some hanging baskets gone in and some plants for Sandra, so she's been
Okay.
those, so there's a little bit going on.
Where's she planted? Where are they hanging? Outside the zone?
I'm not quite sure where Sandra's put them, but yeah, she picked up a couple of hanging baskets this week from Sue. So
I know she was painting some tyres the other day when I went up there.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I guess they might be using those for planters.
It's keeping us out from ease up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, community groups aren't meeting, and then the others are all kind of nil. Nick's got some new plan for the community chest grant for the kitchens, so no doubt he'll fill us in again at the full council meeting where that's going.
Okay, but still within the realms of the community chest application, presumably.
Whatever he's agreed with John Eaton, really, in terms of what they could do different. It didn't sound particularly dissimilar. I just wasn't entirely sure how it was possible to do, but he's bringing the plans together. So
we did agree to extend the lifetime of projects. Okay, next page is already on, I see.
then that's a consolidation of the community trust.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, it shows a very strong position, but I think you need to bear in mind that almost all the money is restricted.
Yeah.
So it's not a profit. That's just
No,
money.
no. That's ring fence, perhaps is the right word. I don't know.
Yeah.
And again, on item 3 there, just confirm the top 2 lines. I also verified those today with Martin against the bank statements.
Thank you.
You want me to talk on debtors again, Colin?
Yeah, if you've got something on that.
Again, there's not too much to report. I'm just turning up my notes again. There are 6 debtors. 3 of them are regulars, so they will pay. They just, I think they're effectively all small businesses, so they're protecting their resources. I don't know. But I've made contact with all of them, and certainly there's, as the notes say, dialogue is ongoing. There is one new customer who is a business. It's not a group or anything like that. The top one, local company. It's on the next page, isn't it? The detail. It's a local company, £337.50. So that's one to be concerned about, and I have contacted them. But they're yet to respond, so I need to keep on to them. But they are the only 6 debts on the whole ledger, so as I said earlier, I haven't got that much to chase. So with no invoices going out, the list will get smaller rather than larger.
Yeah.
So that's my focus for the next week or so, to get that down to hopefully to 0 or as close to as I can.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, Pat.
There's the last one, the local group with the payment plan in place. Is that so much a month, and how long will it last?
The lady in question has a history of getting up to date when pressured and then falling into arrears again. And I think Nick, as I've spoken to Nick about this in the last week, and the likelihood is she will get up to date again before she hires again. I think Nick is going to insist that she pays up front, although she's been a regular for a number of years. I don't think she'll get another booking unless she pays in advance. That's certainly the way Nick's looking at it anyway.
Yeah. Is that okay, Pat?
Yes, that's fine. Yeah, I'm much clearer now. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, that's item 7 complete, unless anyone else has got any comments at all. I can't see any hands raising or anything like that. Right, I was about to say item 8, date of next meeting. There's no date there, obviously. We haven't arranged anything. So I guess it'll be an ad hoc thing as from when, will it?
Well, I think we'll probably stick to the dates that were published at the beginning of the year. And the point of this meeting, and I appreciate it may seem a bit pointless, this meeting, but it was actually that you got to see the bank reconciliation. John checked the figures, and you've looked at how the budget expenditure against budget's going. Otherwise, there's a danger we're going to go all year, and the internal auditor will not be too impressed if we haven't actually done that a few times a year. So I should think probably October time we'll do it again. That'll just make sure that we're fulfilling our statutory duty on that one.
When you get a chance, Colin, can you just remind us of the future dates? Because I was using the one we agreed when it was. Great. Well, I think that's it. So,
yeah, just for information, there's 2, I think 1 or 2, no, 1, I think. It's on the plan committee. I signed all the papers today, all the backlog. I think there was 3 meetings that I had to sign.
Brilliant.
Oh, for planning.
For planning,
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I did hear you come in. I missed you today. Right. Unless anybody is... Sorry, David.
Do you want to stop the live stream if we've...
Yeah, well, I was about to close the meeting, so...